We were 20 minutes into the party when it happened. The music was low, the laughter soft and spaced between the clinks of glasses and murmured gossip. It was one of those upscale house parties where everyone dressed like they were networking, not relaxing. Expensive blazers. Barely sipped wine. Polite lies. My wife, Rachel, stood to my right, drink in hand, eyes scanning the room for people she hadn't impressed yet. She was magnetic in public, always had been. Sharp, charming, always 2 compliments ahead in a conversation. She called it connection. I used to think so too. Then he walked up. I didn't see him at first, just the sound of leather shoes on hardwood, then the voice. Cool. Measured. Like he'd been rehearsing. So you're the husband. Rachel nearly dropped her drink. She turned toward him slowly, her expression trying to land somewhere between confusion and composure, but her fingers tightened around the glass, and I saw it. That flicker of recognition. Barely there, but real. I kept my voice level. I am. And you are? He smiled. Not the kind you return, the kind you brace against. I'm just a friend, he said, then extended his hand. Mark, just a friend. She didn't move to introduce him. She didn't move at all. I shook his hand. Firm. Brief. Nice to meet you, Mark. Rachel recovered fast. Mark, this is my husband, Daniel. Daniel, Mark is from the design firm that did our downtown office space. Her voice was steady, but her eyes wouldn't hold mine. That was new. Mark nodded, still looking at me. Beautiful space. Your wife had a lot of input. Something was off. Not just the tension in her posture or the fact that her smile looked stapled on. It was the way he said it. Like we were missing the joke. Like he wanted me to feel behind. I didn't flinch. I just smiled and took a slow sip of my drink. The conversation ended there. Mark drifted off without another word. Rachel busied herself finding someone to greet, and I let her. But something had shifted. I'd been at enough parties, heard enough tones, seen enough faces to know when I was being tested. I didn't ask her about him that night. I let it sit. The next morning, she acted normal. Made coffee. Scrolled her phone. Said she had a meeting downtown and wouldn't be back until late. I watched her dress. Sharp black suit, subtle gold necklace. The one she wore when she wanted to look polished but not trying too hard. It used to be for me. She kissed me on the cheek before leaving. I didn't return it. Instead, I opened my laptop. I started with a reverse image search, a snapshot from the party where Mark had wandered into the background of someone's Instagram story. Got a match in under a minute. Mark Leland, senior architect at Crescent and Hart. Divorced. No kids. Public speaker at 2 recent real estate panels, one of which Rachel attended alone last fall. She said it was boring. I remember now she didn't talk about it afterward. Not one word. By noon I had his LinkedIn, his portfolio, and a cached wedding registry that had never been deleted. It wasn't jealousy. It was curiosity weaponized. I sent his name to a contact, Leo, who owed me a favor. Ex-private investigator, now works digital intel for legal teams. I didn't explain why. I just asked for social, email records, anything unofficial that might connect him to Rachel. By that night, I had 2 things. Confirmation that they'd exchanged over 200 private messages in the last 6 months, and a forwarded reservation for a hotel room made in Rachel's name, charged to a business card tied to her boutique. It wasn't subtle. It was arrogant. She came home late. Said the meeting ran long. Blamed traffic. Kissed my neck like everything was fine. I smiled. Asked her about the hotel. She froze. Just for a beat. But I saw it. The boutique's remodeling the guest suite for overseas clients, she said without blinking. They asked me to handle the booking. That lie wasn't just practiced. It was layered. Designed to pass if I didn't dig further. I nodded. Makes sense. I didn't bring it up again. Didn't accuse her. I just waited. Over the next 2 weeks, I installed monitoring software on our home network. Every device connected left a trail. I copied it all. Her messages. Her calendar entries. Even her deleted items. The pattern was clear. Every 3rd Thursday, same room, same time. Mark. Always Mark. But here's the thing. I didn't rage. I didn't even feel hurt. What I felt was clarity. Cold, focused clarity. She thought she was untouchable. That the image she curated, doting wife, successful entrepreneur, was enough to shield her. It wouldn't be. I didn't need confrontation. I needed leverage. So I watched. I documented. I made copies of every receipt, every booking. Bank transfers to a second account she never mentioned. Payments to Mark's firm for consulting that didn't match any project timeline. She wasn't just cheating. She was laundering it through our business. That changed the game. Now it wasn't about heartbreak. It was about strategy. Next Thursday, I'd be in that hotel lobby. Not to confront. To observe. To verify. To begin. I got to the hotel an hour early. Wore plain clothes. Neutral tones. Sat in the lobby bar where I could see the elevator. Ordered tea I wouldn't drink and nodded politely to the bartender when he asked if I was waiting for someone. I said no. At 7:46 p.m., Rachel walked in. She didn't see me. Her focus was forward, posture flawless, heels crisp against marble. She looked like she belonged there. I watched her pass reception and move toward the elevators. She didn't pause. She'd done this before. 7 minutes later, Mark arrived. Baseball cap, hoodie, trying to look anonymous but too clean to pass for casual. I caught the flash of his keycard in his palm as he slid into the elevator. Same floor as her. I didn't follow. That wasn't the point. I already had what I needed. I waited an hour, long enough to be sure. Then I left. Back at home, I opened the private drive I'd built and dropped in the footage from the hotel's own security system, courtesy of Leo, who'd installed a skimmer on their outdated camera network the week before. Time-stamped. Crystal clear. Unarguable. That was the first file. The next day, I took apart Rachel's boutique from the inside. Quietly. Efficiently. She'd made me a silent partner years ago. My name wasn't public, but my signature was on every foundational document. I had full back-end access. Bank accounts, payroll, expense logs. I used a cloned IP to explore everything without triggering security alerts. Over the next 48 hours, I built a full picture of the operation and the discrepancies. Fake invoices to Mark's firm for consultations that never happened. Reimbursements for travel expenses that lined up with their rendezvous dates. Gift purchases flagged as business development. It was clever, not careful. I flagged 15 separate transactions that qualified as financial misappropriation. Enough to raise red flags with investors. Enough to warrant a forensic audit. Enough to bury her. But I wasn't done. Rachel had an event coming up, a spring launch party for her boutique's newest product line. Press, influencers, even some minor sponsors. She'd been hyping it for weeks. Called it her next big moment. It was the perfect venue. I had Leo send anonymous tips to 3 gossip blogs known for breaking industry scandals. Nothing explicit. Just breadcrumbs. Her name. The boutique. The words fraud investigation and misconduct. Enough to get their attention. Not enough to trace back. The night before the event, she asked me if I'd be there. Of course I said. Wouldn't miss it. She smiled. That same calculated smile I'd seen her use at investor meetings. I kissed her cheek and asked if Mark would be coming too. Her hand froze on the wine bottle. What? She asked. Just wondering, I said, walking away. She didn't speak for the rest of the night. The event was held in a rented studio loft downtown. Clean white walls, track lighting, the smell of money and intention. Rachel worked the room like a politician, all handshakes and flattery. She looked radiant. Untouchable. Until 8:17 p.m. That's when the first reporter showed up. Then another. Then 2 more. None of them asked questions right away. They just lingered, watched, took photos. She noticed. Her smile faltered. She whispered something to her assistant and slipped into the back office. I followed, silent. Her voice was sharp behind the door. Demanding. Nervous. When she stepped out, she saw me. I handed her an envelope. Manila. Slim. Marked private. What is this? She asked. Proof, I said. Of everything. She didn't open it. Just stared. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Daniel, what are you doing? Leveling the field. She shook her head. We can fix this. I nodded. I know. That's why I haven't sent it to the board yet. Or the investors. Not yet. Her face turned pale. What do you want? She asked. I smiled. Not cruel, not smug. Just tired. Control, I said. Half the boutique. Official. On paper. Retroactive equity. You give me that, and I make sure the story dies here. And if I don't, I step closer. Then the emails go to your board. The financials go to your lead investor. And the footage? I shrugged. Public. She didn't argue. She signed the paperwork the next morning. My lawyer filed the documents by noon. That same afternoon, I called the reporters. Offered them an exclusive on a separate story. One that led them away from Rachel and straight into a minor scandal involving a competing boutique. They bit. By evening, the whispers around Rachel died down. Her reputation took a dent, not a crater. She survived, but not untouched. She came home that night and sat across from me at the kitchen table. "You planned this," she said. "From the moment he said that line at the party." "No," I said. "From the moment you didn't deny it." I didn't expect her to break so quickly. After she signed over half the company, Rachel became quiet. She stopped planning press events, stopped going to brunches with her influencer friends. She started coming home earlier, pouring smaller glasses of wine, asking questions she used to ignore. "Did you eat? How was your day?" It was an act, a recalibration. I knew the guilt wouldn't last, but the fear might. Fear has more memory than love. Mark disappeared. He deleted his social accounts 2 days after the event. I heard he resigned from his firm under personal stress. I didn't need to dig deeper. He wasn't the target. He was a symptom. Rachel was the cause. A month passed. I let things settle. Let her feel safe again. We went out together. We posted a few pictures. She smiled more. Her friends started asking if we were back on track. She told them we were rebuilding. That word made me laugh. She never asked if I still loved her. I never offered. The boutique began doing better. Investors returned. Sales picked up. New clients came in. She called it a second wind. I called it clean books. Then, one Friday afternoon, I executed the final phase. A full buyout. My attorney filed the motion at 3:12 p.m. Her name was removed from all financial control. Ownership shifted to a trust in my name. The trust that held every asset she once bragged about building from scratch. I used the leverage she signed over, the half she thought I wanted, to gain controlling interest. Quietly, legally, irreversibly. When she got the notice, she called me from her office. She was shaking, furious. "You stole it," she hissed. "You waited until I let my guard down, then you gutted me." "No," I said calmly. "I did exactly what you taught me. I used your ambition. I mirrored your moves. I just executed cleaner." "You'll regret this," she said. "No," I replied. "You regret underestimating me." She came home that night to find her studio keys no longer worked. I'd changed the locks. Security was instructed to deny her entry unless I approved it. I didn't. By Monday, she was listed as founder emeritus on the company website, a polite exile. Her social accounts stopped posting. A quiet exit. No press release. No scandal. Just silence. That was always my favorite kind of revenge. Clean. Controlled. Complete. Weeks later, I met with the board. They asked if I wanted to rebrand, distance the company from her entirely. I said no. Let her name stay on the masthead. Let the public believe she still had a hand in it. Let her legacy remain. Because that would sting more. She would live in the shadow of something she no longer controlled. Her own creation, now mine. People asked what happened to Rachel. I told them she took time off. Focused on herself. They nodded, satisfied. No drama. No mess. Just absence. She emailed me once, 2 months later. A single line. Was it always about revenge? I stared at it for a while before replying. No, it was about balance. She never responded. I still see her sometimes, across a lobby, at an event, walking through a crowd. Always surrounded by people. Always a smile on her face. But her eyes flicker when she sees me. Not anger. Not longing. Recognition. Quiet, bitter recognition. Because I was never the fool she thought I was. I was the audit she didn't see coming.